Unmute, there we are. Thank you, sponsors, Pulse Magazine, thank you. Hi, Julie.
There you are, Paul.
How are you?
I'm adding my name. I'm adding Pulse Magazine to my screen name. Let's see. Well, didn't actually work like I thought it would. Julie by Lois, PU.
I didn't even look at it yet. Okay, I'm gonna use the restroom real quick.
There you are.
Hi.
Hey, Kaylee.
Well, actually, I'm Allie. We're just gonna share a laptop.
Oh, there you are. Okay, yes. I wasn't looking up. I'm sorry. I was working on my screen.
It's okay.
There we go.
I'm going to go check on my lunch before this meeting starts.
You go, girl. Don't want you going hungry.
Need my energy.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cindy Holzheimer, and I'm the President CEO of the Northern Ohio Area Chambers of Commerce, NOAC for short. We are an association of 126 chambers of commerce across Northern Ohio with the mission of elevating chambers and chamber professionals through dynamic benefits and resources. Thank you to everyone who attended the mini expo this morning. What a great way to connect with each other and learn more about the products and services of fellow chamber members. I would also like to thank Tony and the chamber staff for putting together this great event today and for the opportunity to say a few quick words. Here at NOAC, one of our strengths is our cost savings programs. We provide them to chambers to include in their benefits packages for you, chamber members. Our best known benefit is our available discounts on premiums on 2 chamber programs through Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. We have a traditional or ACA product called the Chamber Saver Plan and a group self-funded MEWA product designed for small businesses and sole proprietors. To find out more about these plans and to get a quote, just ask your medical insurance broker. If you are not currently working with a broker, you can contact the chamber for a list of brokers who are members of the chamber. These 2 plans are experiencing tremendous growth this year as they offer great rates and a multitude of plan options. The chamber member saves on medical insurance for their employees, and the chamber receives support for their involvement in the program. So these 2 programs really are a win-win for everyone. Please visit the chamber website for this program and many other cost-saving options. I really appreciate your time this morning. To kick off the 2021 Lorain County Chamber Annual Meeting, I would like to introduce Board Chair Kevin Knight. Stay safe and stay healthy, everyone. Thank you.
So first of all, I'd like to thank Cindy and NOAC for being the presenting sponsor for our 33rd annual meeting. I'd like to take a minute and thank all of our sponsors right now. And for those who participated in the virtual mini expo that Cindy mentioned. Thank you to 188 Ohio Comp, Big Brothers Big Sisters, Campana Insurance, Community Foundation of Lorain County, Fidelity National Title, First Federal Savings and Loan of Lorain, Floor Coverings International, Gateway Industrial Products, General Plug-in Manufacturing, Green Thumb Industries, Rise Dispensaries, Kinetic Business by Windstream, Kingston Healthcare, Leadership Lorain County, the Lorain County Commissioners, Lorain County Community College, NOAC, Nordson Corp, Northwest Bank, Pulse, Lorain County's Magazine, Ryan St. Marie Insurance Agency, Sibley, the Effective Leadership Academy, the Lakota Way, Togus Products, Total Line Refrigeration, and Wickens Herzer Panza. Now I'd like to call the Lorain County Chamber of Commerce 2020-2021 annual meeting of members and investors to order and welcome all of you online participating via Zoom. We have about 15 board members and staff here in person at Lorain County Community College Spitzer Conference who are practicing social distance and staying safe. Our presentation today will be divided into 2 parts, the annual meeting and the program of work retrospective and presentation. We'll go right into the annual meeting portion. On the screen, you will see the annual meeting minutes from January 29th, 2020. As you know, the voting process for this organization requires that each company member be given 1 vote with 1 designated representative. I would like to call for any comments and or questions on the annual meeting minutes. If none, I call for a motion to approve. Those online, please use the hand raise icon on Zoom to approve. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the end of year financials. On the screen, you will see the end of year statement of activity. If there are no questions in the room or online, I call for motion to approve as presented. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda is the election of trustees who will fill a 3-year term, commencing January 2021 and concluding December 31st, 2023. That slate of nominees is as follows. Dr. Marcia Ballinger, Lorain County Community College, John Bryant, Sibley, Gail Delaporte, Gateway Enterprise, Mike Herrick, Liberty Vermilion, Tom Kramig, Lake Erie Crushers, Kurt Racevich, First Federal Lakewood, Maggie Rivera-Tuma, U.S. Bank, and Michelle Williamson, Fidelity National Title. And if there are no questions or comments online or in person, I will entertain a motion to approve the slate of nominations as submitted. Do I have a motion to approve? Second? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations to the new board members. The next item on our agenda is the election of the officers for the 2021 term. The slate is as follows. Kevin Knight, Chair, Phil Amos, Vice Chair, Tim King, Secretary, Chris Mead, Treasurer, Sharon Pearson, Board at Large, John Bryan, Board at Large, Kevin Nelson, Board at Large, Ed Skimin, Immediate Past Chair, and Anthony Gallo, President. If there are no questions and or comments online or in person, I will entertain a motion to approve the slate of nominations as submitted. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second? You have to be here for this one. All in favor? Opposed? The motion has carried. That concludes our annual meeting portion of today's meeting. I will now begin the program of work portion. So normally I would start my remarks about what a great year the chamber had and how the staff worked hard to engage the members and get them involved. Obviously 2020 was not a normal year by any means. And while it started out with such promise, from mid-March on, it was truly a year like no other. Despite almost traditional networking taking place, the Lorain County Chamber still managed to grow this year, and our current membership sits at 639 members. And we continue to be the largest chamber of commerce west of Cleveland. We take this as a sure sign that the county chamber is fulfilling our mission statement, which is promoting and supporting the success and growth of the Lorain County business community. 2020 is a tale of two years, before and after March 12th. Before the statewide shutdown, the chamber hosted the largest business after hours that we have ever held at the Ariel on Broadway Cobblestone Hotel on January 14th. The excitement of this anchor establishment reopening downtown Lorain was felt by all the 225 plus members and guests in attendance. Our chamber was allowed the official sneak peek at the facility prior to the official opening. We went back to Ariel 2 more times in February for the State of the City Lorain address with a capacity crowd of over 260 people to hear from Mayor Jack Bradley. And then again, we went back on March 2nd for the official ribbon cutting with must have been a standing room only crowd of over 300. When we moved the State of the City of Elyria address to LCC, we knew Mayor, we knew Mayor Frank Whitfield would attract a good sized crowd, but didn't realize we would double the past attendance and get over 225 people to hear the first elected African-American mayor of Elyria address the chamber and Rotary clubs. Attendance at those early events was up over 80% from the previous year, so hopes were high for a great year. Even as word of the coronavirus was coming out, things seemed to be normal in Lorain County. Leadership Lorain County's Difference Makers Gala, the Cancer Society's Lifesavers Ball, Harvest for Hunger kickoff all took place as planned. As the coronavirus was making its way across the world, we needed to make a decision on our March business after hours. Because it was one of our local nursing homes and we were hearing the elderly were going to be the most susceptible to the virus, we decided to be cautious and we canceled. Instead, we reached out to Dave Cavell, the Lorain County Health Commissioner, and on March 11th, we had him address our membership at Lorain County Community College Stocker Center. we were first heard the term social distance for keeping attendees safe. Between March 12th through the 19th, Governor DeWine shut down schools, restaurants, entertainment venues, and prohibited the gathering of large groups. The new year, which started out very promising, suddenly came to a halt. Suddenly ourselves and our members were setting up remote workstations from home, and we needed to figure out what to do to help our local businesses. And this is when what appeared to be a great year suddenly took a turn. And much like last year coming to a screeching halt, I'm going to have my portion of the meeting come to a halt as well. Tony wrote that. As chairman of the board of the Lorain County Chamber, I look forward to your participation in 2021 and beyond. I would like to thank the executive board and the entire board of trustees for their support and help during this past year. We are very proud of what the staff did in such an unprecedented year such as 2020. Thank you to Tony and Tammy and Christy, who worked hard to keep the county chamber relevant, viable, functioning this past year. And with that, I would like to introduce the President, Tony Gallo.
I'm going to blame that glitch on COVID right now too, so. All right, our annual meeting last year, our theme was COVID, or it was Vision 2020, but obviously it should have been called Hindsight 2020 because we didn't realize what we were setting ourselves up for. The best thing that came out of last year's meeting was the announcement that we were going to be doing a Kevin Flanigan Business of the Year Award. Aptly named to honor Kevin for his 32 years of participation on the board. That was 32 years alone on our chamber board. When we did this inaugural board, I stated that the award would recognize a local business who offers high quality products or services, demonstrates strong ethical standards, exhibits leadership with its employees and clients and with its industry, is active in Lorain County, and gives generously of themselves or their staff to causes big and small in Lorain County. Oh, sorry, Ed, I popped up one faster. I can say without a doubt that the 2021 awardee fits all those descriptions to a T, and you probably see who that is, as you will find out as I continue with the overview of 2020. I was hoping to actually have Kevin Flanigan's son, Ryan, who's on our board, be here to give the award, but he was unable to make it. He was unable to make it last year as well too, and Ryan and Gail actually had to present the award. But it's my pleasure to announce Ed Skimin as the 2021 Kevin Flanigan Business of the Year awardee. Before I ask Ed to come up here, I do want to say that Ed is a 1993 graduate of the University of Dayton. Ed did start to work, I don't know if everybody realizes this or not, he worked at the county chamber in 1995 and launched his business Emerge with his brother on October 7th, 1996. He's been a member of the Lorain County Chamber since November 1st, 1996, which I'm a little disappointed it took him 3 weeks to join the chamber. He met his wife, Nayri, while working at the chamber, and they married in 2005 after Ed completed his master's in urban studies from Cleveland State. Ed has been on the board of trustees of the chamber since 2007 and was board chair in 2016-2017. I'm going to have Kevin Knight come up to actually do the award, and I do want to mention that the quote on this year's award is from Marcus Aurelius. I actually saw a bunch of Marcus Aurelius stuff when we were in Rome. He was a Roman emperor who was born in 161 AD, known for a philosophy that emphasized fate, reason, and self-restraint. If you know Ed Skimin, that pretty much sums him up, I think. But the quote reads, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." It's my pleasure to introduce a good man, Ed Skimin. So we'll have.
Thank you, Tony. I first met Kevin Flanigan in 1995, 26 years ago. I was fresh out of graduate school and started working at the chamber, as Tony said. Kevin Flanigan was the board chair the year I started. So it's quite an honor to receive an award named after such a great business and community leader. Tony said I had about 5 minutes to make a few remarks. I'd like to fill that time by acknowledging as many people as I can who have helped us along this journey. Let me start with family. My dad was a school teacher, member of Lorain City Council, and a soccer coach. He even did the laundry at our house, and this was the 80s. My mom was a school teacher and did a lot of volunteer work, including Neighborhood House and Lorain Public Library. My parents were both so involved and always available. They instilled the importance of hard work and community participation. I have 2 brothers. The youngest, Dan, is an international school teacher. He has lived in Japan, the Philippines, China, Africa, and currently in Singapore. He provides a great world perspective. My other brother, Mike, is co-founder and co-owner of Emerge and LorainCounty.com. While I often get the public credit, he really is the person behind the curtain doing the magic. As Tony mentioned, I met my wife 26 years ago when we both worked at the county chamber. We started dating shortly after I left the chamber and started Emerge. She joined Emerge in October of 2000. The initial plan was to have her work with Emerge for 6 months to help us get organized and to build our business processes. 20 years later, we still keep innovating and needing new business processes, and fortunately, she stayed with us. Next, I want to thank my kids. My son EJ is 11, my daughter Kyla is 8. Having kids really teaches you to prioritize that which matters and let go of the things that don't matter. I'm also a big believer in the sentiment that you learn as much from your kids as they learn from you. I want to thank all of the current and past Emerge team members. I've been fortunate enough to work with some very smart and skilled people. I'd like to spotlight 6 team members who have greatly affected the trajectory of Emerge. Chris Holko, Emerge's first employee. He played the critical role of breaking the tie between 2 passionate brothers trying to figure out our own lanes as we started the company. Tom Wainick, who worked with Emerge as an employee and as a consultant and continues to provide insight and guidance. Joe Rebar is a graphic designer and usability expert. He taught us to focus on the user's experience. Joe has gone on to work for NFL Networks and ESPN, and if you ever saw President Obama do his March Madness picks, Joe Rebar is the one who created the graphics that he picked on the touchscreen. Ho-Chi Chen is a software engineer who interned with us for 3 years. He is the most talented pure coder I've ever worked with. He went on to work in Silicon Valley for 4 years and currently works in New York City with Amazon Web Services. Sam Green is a software developer that worked with Emerge for 8 years. In addition to leading numerous client projects, he ran the Emerge Columbus office for many years. He now works as a front-end developer for L Brands. Wendy Steinbrunner is Emerge's office manager. And for the past 8 years, she's the one that makes sure the bills get paid, the invoices get sent, and all the small details get taken care of. I'd also like to thank all the current and past clients of Emerge and sponsors and users of LorainCounty.com. I really enjoy working with great clients, learning about their business and what makes them unique. I enjoy the ways we can partner together and create value for both organizations. I've been fortunate enough to have a number of mentors along the way. I'd like to thank all of them, including Frank DiTilio, who hired me at the chamber, Dennis Shaver, who taught me that you might as well do it right the first time or you're just going to keep redoing it, Brian Frederick, who owned a computer consulting business before leading the Community Foundation. He was the first person we met with when we were trying to decide if we would really start a business or not. Phyllis DeMark from the Center for Leadership and Education was the first client and provided excellent and honest feedback and advice when we really needed it. Terry Good, who provided advice over many Bob Evans breakfasts, Kathy Schuster, who provided advice over many lunches, and Pogi and Jan Rabarczyk, who provided advice over more happy hours than I'll admit to. Former Lorain County Health Commissioner Ken Pierce and former Lorain County Metro Parks Director Dan Martin. Both of these leaders brought Emerge in to build projects locally, which we then delivered to park districts and health departments across Ohio. Finally, I'd like to thank the hardworking people in the business support organizations. Of course, Tony, Tammy, and Christy, John Soboleski from the North Coast Chamber, Jen Kennedy from Visit Lorain County, Teresa Gillis, Janet Haar, and Jenny Arntz, and the other Main Street directors, Dr. Marcia Ballinger, Dr. Roy Church, Tracy Green, and everyone at Lorain County Community College, Ted Esborn, Pam Fector, Don Romanchik, and the other city and county economic development directors, the county commissioners, mayors, city council members, government employees, and active citizens who continue to work to make things even better in our community. They and countless others help to create the environment that lets companies like Emerge be formed, develop, and grow. I think it's imperative for all of us to create the environment, the culture, and the community spirit that supports our local businesses. This was true before COVID. It's even more true going forward. I'm sure I missed a lot of people on this list. I apologize to them. We're still growing Emerge, so maybe I'll have a chance in the future and include them next time. So thanks again, Tony, for this wonderful award.
So now you get to see why some of the reasons we chose Ed to actually be the award winner that has Kevin J. Flanigan's name on it too. Within days of the shutdown, the county chamber, the SBDC at Lorain County Community College, and Ed Skimin from LorainCounty.com started to put together a Lorain County Strong program. With restaurants, bars, and retail shut down, we banded together with the other chambers of commerce and the Main Street organizations, Ed just mentioned all of them, to promote our local businesses. A dedicated website called Lorain County Strong was made, and we started to compile a list of every business that was there offering delivery, curbside pickup, and online ordering. We were doing our best to make sure that these businesses stayed open and viable. We use the same website to provide information about COVID announcements from our local, state, and federal healthcare officials. Once the green light was given for an opening date again, we transitioned and we started to give safe reopening guidelines and information that included social distancing tips and signage for businesses to use. The warmer months seemed to be normal, but by October, when COVID was once again spiking and inside dining was starting to be the only option, the Lorain County Strong Group came up with the Eat, Drink, and Win program, again with our partners with the Lorain County Strong, all of our chambers and our Main Street organizations again. We are currently in week 16 of this contest that we put together 4 months ago, and we've given away $1,500 in gift cards to our local restaurants, and we've had shy of 400 people actually participate. We've tracked nearly $15,000 that has been spent because of this program, so I'm pretty happy with that, and it's gonna go and continue to the end of February. Soon after the launch of the Lorain County Strong campaign, the Chamber, again, the SBDC and Lorain County Community College, and LorainCounty.com started to get the ball rolling on March 30th for what would become the small business of Lorain County COVID-19 Small Business Emergency Relief Grant. A call from the Nord Family Foundation to see what they could do to help Lorain County small businesses started that conversation. Suddenly, we found ourselves working on criteria, making the application available online, marketing it, marketing the program, and trying to figure out how we take that $50,000 that Nord Family gave us and parlay it into something larger and more meaningful. We put out a request to our philanthropic, municipal, and financial partners to help fund the program more. We helped to provide some of the first grant dollars available to Lorain County businesses, and we have run this program through 5 different grant cycles over the past 10 months. We went live on April 17th and saw our website traffic go from 44 users per day to over 2,700 in the days leading up to that application going live. So you can see that because we were one of the first groups offering money, we just saw this huge crush. And because it was a first come, first served grant program, we were getting people in line to be able to give out that money. And that's why we wanted to give as much money and raise as much money as possible too. All told, we have provided over $300,000 in grants provided directly to our local businesses. I'd like to thank those who donated to make this possible, including the Nord Family Foundation, KeyBank Business Boost and Build powered by Jumpstart, Lubrizol, Northwest Bank, Comstar Credit Union, US Bank, PNC Bank, Achieve Credit Union, Big Frog T-shirts, Boy Scouts of America Lake Erie Council, the City of Avon, the City of Elyria, and the City of Avon Lake. While we're still finalizing the grants with the City of Avon and the City of Avon Lake, we are currently working with the City of Lorain now too on what we are referring to as the Small Business Stabilization Program. Because these are HUD dollars that we are using, this is a forgivable loan, so we can't call it a grant. But there is an additional $267,669 that is part of this grant program and stabilization program. The combined amount of $571,533 will be given out in 2020 and 2021 to help Lorain County small businesses. I can't tell you how proud I am that we were able to parlay that $50,000 grant into something that approaches or goes over $500,000. So again, a huge thank you to Lisa Hudson at the SBDC. She's my partner in crime. I don't know if she's online on Zoom right now, but Lisa and I have struggled through a lot of programs this year, and you're going to hear her name just as much as you're going to hear Ed's name too. And obviously I have to thank again Ed for LorainCounty.com, who continually had to update our website with the changes in each of those different versions of the 5 different grant cycles. The next collaboration with the SBDC and LorainCounty.com was the Lorain County Minority Business Network directory. The County Chamber and the SBDC, with our other members of the Business Growth Network of Greater Lorain County, had talked about the need for this for years. We've been meeting for a couple of years saying, why is there no place where we can find out who the minority business owners are? Ed Skimin and LorainCounty.com designed the platform and a way for us to actually promote historically underserved entrepreneurs and allow them to have a free listing online so people can find out who they are. We are using that historically underserved entrepreneurs in a way that includes African Americans, Latino, Hispanic, women, veteran, disabled, LGBTQ, and rural enterprise entrepreneurs. This is an ongoing project. We actually had 6 different people sign up just this week alone. From that, we were able to parlay the minority business directory into distribution of PPE equipment, N95 masks specifically, to minority businesses. And we used that same network of business contacts, specifically the people who had signed up on the Minority Business Network, or Business Network, business directory, as well as anybody that we knew that was dealing directly with the minority businesses. We worked with Lowe's and Avon to be able to distribute 100,000 masks at a time when people were having trouble getting masks. So we were very happy that we were able to do that as well too. I also want to say thank you to Lormet Federal Credit Union and the Chronicle Telegram, who worked with the Chamber and the SBDC to print and distribute the "We're Open for Business" signs when the stay-at-home order was finally lifted. It was nice to see, it's still nice to see those signs out there on different locations in Lorain County. You may still see them hanging in windows, and you're probably gonna see a whole bunch of them in the pictures as I flash through the rest of the slide presentation too. With all of our networking, including Business After Hours, Safety Council, Lunch and Learns, and all of our social networking activities postponed, because that was the word we were using, because we still thought at some point we were going to be able to get together and do what the Chamber normally does. We had to get resourceful and virtual very, very quickly. Within 2 weeks, we hosted our first quarantine connection with a new platform called Zoom, something I had never heard of before. Little did we know that Zoom was going to become a common word and something that we would maybe get sick of within a couple of months. But I do want to point out that As You Wish Luxury Travel stepped up and they actually sponsored the dollars that we needed at a time when we didn't know if we could afford to actually purchase something called Zoom. So thank you, Sharon. We were then informed by the BWC and all of our Safety Council programming was going to be canceled to the end of the fiscal year of 2020. We were given an option to take Safety Council virtual and started with our first virtual meeting in August. We hosted, that was our first one that we had hosted since February. Realizing that we weren't just in an economic crisis, but also a physical health crisis and a rising mental health crisis, we had to take actions to continue with the forum that we had provided for 90 years here in Lorain County, because that's how old the Lorain County Safety Council is. We are the second oldest safety council in the state of Ohio. We have since provided 2 programs on the implications of COVID-19 for mental health and substance abuse, and we have already have Dave Covell scheduled to speak to our group on August 18th. As an aside, I can't say enough about Dave and the Lorain County Public Health. All those people over there are doing such a tremendous job. I'm on a weekly call with Dave and the 3 presidents of our local hospital systems and the mayors as well as community leaders, And Dave runs that meeting, lets us know exactly what we should be doing, what we shouldn't be doing. And I can't tell you, we're very, very lucky to have him. Just this week, I think 2 days ago, CNN ran an article that actually called out Dave and actually our Lorain County public health system on what a great job they did in doing senior shots and how people could learn from the way Lorain County did this. I got calls and emails from people in Cuyahoga County and out of state that saw that article and said, you guys are lucky. Is there any way you can have him talk to our health department here? Because I'm waiting months and months and months and I can't get signed up for it. So I also want to point out that Elaine Jorgis and the Mars board has been doing a tremendous job. For those of you who know me, I've got a lot of compassion, and I worry about a lot of people who are having mental health crises, especially with what COVID is causing us to do, which is isolate and not be around people. And the mental health board has done a tremendous job as well too. On the call with Elaine yesterday, she provided this Strive for 5 flyer. Basically, it's encouraging you to pick 5 people that you know may be alone or may be in crisis, and to contact them every day for 30 days, just to let them know that they have somebody in their life. So, and I'd be doing David a disservice if I didn't say what he says at the end of every meeting, which is wash your hands, wear your mask, stay social distant, and get your shot when it's available. Our 4th annual economic summit was supposed to take place in May, but unfortunately it wasn't able to. And so we said we were going to push it to September. And then we realized September still wasn't going to allow us to do it in a way that we would feel comfortable doing it. But our board actually insisted that we still do something, because the economic summit had become something very, very, people looked forward to it every year. So we actually took it virtual, came here to Lorain County Community College, and the staff did a hybrid version, basically the same thing that we did today, without the glitch in the volume. But hey, it's good. We're back here again, and I know it won't be any issues moving forward. I'm glad it happened to us, and I'm glad we know what this type of a setup actually is. We had 24 attendees as opposed to 240, and we had presenters use Zoom, pre-recorded presentations, and in-person ones too. So as it looks like right now, we're still planning on moving our economic summit into September again, because I don't think May is going to be possible to be able to do what we normally would do. And it's scheduled currently for September 17th. We did a week's worth of events leading up to it last year, and we plan on doing that again this year with our partners. The Chamber also worked hard promoting the Census 2020 count. I can't tell you, we went from meeting in person to meeting on Zoom on a weekly basis. And obviously, having that count, it almost seems like it was so long ago, I don't even remember it, because there's been so much that has happened since we were doing that. But the funding based on that count was imperative for the everything that happens here in Lorain County, the area, Northeast Ohio, as well as the state of Ohio. I mean, so much is determined by that. I was impressed the way the cities, the villages, the townships, the leaders here in Lorain County all work together, and between t-shirts, signs, billboards, videos, radio spots, newspaper advertising, raffles, and even a car parade through South Lorain, we wound up surpassing counts that Lorain County has seen in previous censuses. So if and when we work the way we are supposed to work here in Lorain County, I got to tell you, that worked really, really well for the census group. Normally October means our manufacturing month, and we weren't going to do it this year because it was directly after our economic summit. But there's an organization by the name of the Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership that happened to see what we did for the economic summit and called me, actually texted me while we were in the midst of the economic summit saying, we want to do something exactly like this at Lorain County Community College. And instead of going to a manufacturing company, we're going to bring manufacturing companies here and have them actually talk to people online. So again, it was one of those situations where it was a win-win for the sector partnership and the group of from the Lorain County Growth Partnership, which normally runs the manufacturing month. And they actually took it and ran with it, and it went well. I will tell you right now that you're going to hear more about the Lorain County sector Lorain County Manufacturing Sector Partnership as we move forward. And they are a group of local manufacturers whose goal is to promote local manufacturing to ensure that the workforce and talent pipeline continue to be filled with new individuals to work these critical jobs. The Lorain County Chamber will be working with the the Manufacturing Sector Partnership, it's really hard to say, and Lorain County Community College for the next 3 years to help promote the scaling apprenticeship program to not only provide access to train individuals, but to also help defer the cost and pay for their wages during this apprenticeship program. We just held a virtual open house last week to help encourage additional manufacturers to take advantage of this great program. They were also a recipient of one of 10 grants that the governor's office provided last year, or just last week, which is going to help them continue to grow the sector partnership here locally too. Ribbon cuttings, open houses, grand openings are not exactly encouraged during a pandemic, but we did manage to get a few of them in during the course of the year. Hopefully 2021 continues along those lines too. I'm also happy to announce that several of our local businesses like General Plug and Togus purchased major pieces of equipment in 2020 to augment their current operations, have resulted in additional output, additional new hires, and continued efficiencies. 2020 and early 2021 have seen new buildings go up, old buildings coming down, and existing buildings expanded or get repurposed for new leases on life. The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well in Lorain County, and the County Chamber is doing our best to cultivate it however and whenever possible. And while not everyone has had the ability to expand, I want to give you some insight into what some businesses are going through here in the midst of the pandemic. This is an email I received from one of the COVID-19 grant recipients, and they asked me not to identify them, but they gave me permission to quote them. So this is their quote. "We have survived 2020 and are not in any immediate danger of closing. We are probably doing quite well compared to many small businesses. I recently was informed that our payroll protection plan loan of $11,200 has been forgiven, and if I understand correctly, the $10,000 EIDL advance will not be discounted against the PPP loan. The PPP loan was sufficient for me to bring some people back to work even before we were allowed to reopen the business, and we're still without any revenue. We were therefore able to keep up with needed maintenance and cover utility costs, which may have diminished but did not disappear. For example, my gas bill was $135 a month even when I had zero usage of gas. The EIDL advance covered most but not all of my real estate tax bill, which was due in July, removing a major concern. We received what I consider very favorable treatment by our mortgage lender, who agreed to my request to accept interest-only payments for the remainder of 2020, temporarily freeing me from principal loans and principal payments and fundamentally extending my loan for that period of time. While we did experience an extremely large loss for the calendar year, the federal programs combined with local grants and favorable mortgage policies have enabled us to maintain sufficient liquidity to roll into 2021 and some limited confidence. While I'm sure that you have your finger on the pulse of the local business community, perhaps this further details on how we have been lucky enough to make it through this past year and give you a more complete picture of what individual businesses are facing and how specific programs have been very, very helpful. Thank you again. To hear confidence and gratitude during such uncertain times shows will and determination by our local businesses. And I think that explains to you how even a $2,500 grant or a $10,000 loan may not seem like much, but it allowed them to make their business viable moving into this year. They have reopened. I know things are getting a little bit better for them, and I have confidence that they are going to get on the other side of this as long as we keep promoting and talking about doing things here locally. So the County Chamber was unable to hold what would have been our 7th annual Business to Business Expo in November. Normally this event is sold out months in advance. We have 600 people show up, but with COVID cases spiking in the fall, we knew that it wasn't going to be possible. Obviously, this was the case not just for our chamber or anybody who puts on these business expos, it was the case for everywhere. It's It's a really nice program. We hope to be able to do it this November. Again, we're lucky. We're one of the lucky chambers that has ours in the fall. We hope by the beginning of November, we'll be able to do some sort of a version of the expo, even if it's with timed entrances or limited capacity of some sort. So stay tuned on that. At last year's annual meeting, I announced that the SBDC and the Chamber would be working on doing a podcast focused on small businesses and entrepreneurial needs. Lisa Hudson was able to apply for a grant for the SBA Care through the SBA Cares dollars, and we have officially started a podcast called Business Fluent. We have recorded the first podcast with Dr. Marcia Ballinger as our guest, where we talked about COVID-19's effect on the workforce and how Lorain County Community College and higher education are addressing workforce challenges. We're supposed to record the second episode tomorrow with Anthony Richardson and Renee Ligon, and as we talk about diversity and inclusion and its impact on the economy. The Business Fluent show will be available wherever you get your podcasts, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Little commercial there. Again, I want to give a shout out to Lisa Hudson, who's worked with us and the Chamber so well this past year. And as you can tell, I like to talk, so I don't think we're going to have any issues with making sure that the podcast is long enough, maybe too long. The Lorain County Chamber continued our participation and partnership with Pulse Magazine, which celebrated its 12th anniversary. While normally we would highlight upcoming events and fundraisers, in 2020 we highlighted Second Harvest Food Bank, Lorain County Strong, Open for Business Stories, our first responders, programs for small businesses, and anything that people needed to hear about doing things here locally. 2021 will continue to be focused on that rebound of our local economy. And we just had a meeting last week. Dr. Ballinger was on that meeting with me as well too. And we are going to be focusing on workforce development for the spring edition. Obviously, workforce is something that we are intrinsically focused on and will be for a very, very long time. I had mentioned the redevelopment of Spiegelberg Orchards at last year's annual meeting, and anybody who's driven down Middle Ridge Road or by Route 2 knows that it's quickly becoming a reality. Carvana was announced as the developer of this $23 million investment and starting with 200 new jobs. I just talked to their talent acquisition head, Sandy Delgado, this past week, and they're planning for jobs that range from warehouse positions that would normally go to younger individuals who would be working at fast food restaurants, all the way up to ASE certified and master mechanics at this Lorain County facility. She also assured me that Carvana likes to promote from within. They are going to be working with Ohio Means Jobs Lorain County, JVS, and Lorain County Community College to help employees climb the ladder to continue to get educated and make more money through their expansion there too. And we hope to actually at one point get them up to 600 employees. It's almost 3 times larger than their Euclid plant. Workforce and diversity were common themes last year and will continue to be the focus this year into the future too. The County Chamber released a statement of racial injustice in May of 2020, and while our work on the Minority Business Directory continues, I'm also working with the Community Foundation with leadership from Janine Donaldson and the YWCA on helping to build the Lorain County Racial Equity Center. Initial funding coming from Community Foundation and the Nordson Corporation Foundation. The Lorain County Racial Equity Center will build on best practices, including a similar center called the Racial Equity Institute in North Carolina, while leveraging our local resources for training and education. The coalition, besides whom I mentioned, also includes community partners, including Lorain County Public Health and United Way. The Lorain County Racial Equity Center is planning to launch this calendar year. When all is said and done, last year didn't go as well as we had planned, but we still accomplished quite a bit, though not much of it was on our calendar at this time last year. We still managed to host 36 separate events, including 7 lunch and learns for our members, ranging from cybersecurity to workplace well-being. The annual meeting is already our 4th event for January 5th, if you include the mini expo that took place directly before this, which included our new member orientation and last week's Kathy Leimbach seminar on effectively managing people that had over 80 people actually registered for it. What we are seeing is, even though people may be getting zoomed out and Zoom overload, if we provide our members with quality programming and a topic that is worthwhile, we get great participation and turnout. It's been a way for face-to-face it's been our way for face-to-face contact, and it lends itself to virtual as well. We're happy to announce that on March 4th, we will be hosting the hybrid State of the City address back here at Lorain County Community College. We're bringing together the two mayors of Lorain and Elyria, where we would normally do two separate events. We're making it into one this year. That way it'll be a little bit easier on everybody who attends those. It made sense with Mayors Whitfield and Bradley working together on several projects since their inauguration last year. As in the past, we'll be jointly working with the Rotary Clubs of Lorain and Elyria in the State of the City address again this year. We actually are in the midst of hosting an outdoor in-person networking. You guys are the first to hear this. We're working with the Lorain Port Authority, and we plan on doing something outdoors at Black River Landing. Coon Fabricating, we're working with them. We hope to actually have some fire pits that are done specifically that we will actually raffle off at this event. They'll also be used for all the freeze babies like my wife who don't want to be outside in the cold, but we're still going to be doing some networking in some way, shape, or form, or as we call it, face mask to face mask time. So stay tuned on that. Our actual last face-to-face event was our golf outing. We are again planning on going back to Elyria Country Club. The date is set for July 27th. We did have a great time, and I know that people were very anxious to participate last July. I hope you sign up again and participate this year too. We're also working on how to transition our Lorain County Strong campaign to help our local restaurants on a cost-effective way to help reduce the amount of delivery charges that people pay, or these restaurants are paying to Grubhub and DoorDash and other delivery services. This is an article that appeared on my website, or on the web last week, that just kind of caught my attention. And the city of Beechwood is doing something similar to help defray those costs too. We're working with Mayor Whitfield and Elyria to see what we can do to make that happen as soon as possible. Several restaurants are paying up to 30 to 40% of their profit is going to DoorDash and Grubhub. So stay tuned on that. We want to do whatever we can do to help them. I also finished this past year as the board chair for NOACA's Business Advisory Council. The major focus on this past year was the eNeo 2050, an equitable future for Northeast Ohio. The plan will be for more comprehensive scope than previous plans, expanding beyond transportation to include planning for land use, housing, health impacts, the environment, racial equity, and more. Likewise, I'm still involved with Move Lorain County, and I'll actually be board chair for that this coming year with Ryan Aroney from United Way as our vice chair. I look forward to working with Sharon Pearson, Lorain County's mobility manager, not a mobile mobility manager, but just a mobility manager, as we continue to focus on transportation and how it relates to workforce development and talent attraction in Lorain County and Northeast Ohio. Before I wrap things up, I'd like to thank our outgoing board member, Rich Colella, for his commitment to the board, the chamber board, for the past 20 years. I don't know what happened to Rich's picture. It disappeared. There was a nice picture on there, but okay, as long as it's up there. Last year we had Kevin Flanigan, who committed 32 years on our board. The next up was Rich Colella, who was at 20. So he was board chair from 2009 to 2010. Maggie Rivera is coming on our board, replacing Rich. She's got over 20 years in the banking industry and is currently the Global Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategy and Operations Manager. That's global for US Bank. So welcome, Maggie. There we go. I'd like to welcome our new members that have joined since January 1st. Eileen Torres Productions, Inc., TTR Manufacturing, LaGrange IGA, the Kane Real Estate Group, Vermilion Jet Ski, White Oak Ranch LLC, Anchor, and Action Coach of Greater Cleveland. I'm pleased to say that we're going to be working with Mark Phelps from Action Coach. He'll be working out to interview a cross-section of our members to talk to them about what they see is going on in their business and what they did to survive COVID and what they're doing moving into 2021. They did this with our friends over at the Solon Chamber, and it was quite successful, so we look forward to working with them. Anchor is actually working with Second Harvest Food Bank and the Harvest for Hunger campaign, and we're glad to be able to promote and do anything that we can do to make sure that those who need it most with food and going hungry are taken care of as they have been all year. I'd like to thank our Chamber Champion sponsor, again this year, Ross Builders. It's been a great way to promote our members and that are doing great stuff, especially through COVID. Our 5 for 5 sponsor is new this year, First Federal Savings of Lorain. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary this year. Any business that's been around, an institution that's been around 100 years deserves a lot of applause. I know a lot of what they had planned on doing is either going to continue to get pushed back or unfortunately not be able to take place the way they had planned on it. I've been working with them over the last 8 months to see what we can do to work with the Chamber to help promote that as well too. And I think actually we have a board meeting later this afternoon online. We look forward to 2021 being the year when we reconnect, refocus, and rebound for our Chamber members, for our Lorain County businesses, and for our residents. It's critical that we work together, and it reminds me that my quote from last year is even more appropriate today. The future depends on what we do today, on what you do today. And I think we have done a lot this past year to make sure that we continue to do what's best for Lorain County. On behalf of the Lorain County Chamber, our board and staff, and our community partners, we stand ready to make sure that we are here for you today, tomorrow, and into the future. With the chairman's permission, I'd like to call for a motion to adjourn. I'm only 6 minutes past 1 o'clock, and that was with a 10-minute delay. So with that, I call the end of this meeting of the annual. I do want to thank and congratulate Ed Skimin again on being the Kevin J. Flanigan Business of the Year. Thank you to everybody who stayed on this whole time, and thank you to our board members that actually made it here in person. Stay well.